Okay, so hello everyone and welcome back to day six of this year's camp conference. So I hope everyone's staying dry because it's very rainy until now. And yeah, keep safe everyone. So I'm Rain, the speaker manager for this year's camp conference, and I will be your host for this session. So thank you for tuning into this session brought to you by LIMS Review Center, the Prince Review Philippines, EG Philippines, and ACC Philippines. So for this session, we'll be having a country talk for Australia. So the speaker will be discussing whether the particular location of their college played a role in their decision making, as well as other factors they considered when assessing their chosen college destination. Before we proceed with the talk, let's lay down the house rules. First, please do not spam the Q&A box or send any inappropriate messages. Second, everyone at camp is working very hard to make your conference experience amazing. Please be respectful at all times. And third, all questions must be sent in the Q&A box because questions in the chat box might get lost in all the messages. So now that we're all familiar with the house rules, please allow me to introduce our speaker for this session. So Mr. Castillo, if you could turn on your cam so you can spotlight you, please do so. Okay, so meet Warrick Castillo, a university student interested in the world of business and technology. Alongside his academic pursuits, Warwick is most interested in the realm of programming and web development, skillfully crafting digital solutions that push the boundaries of what's possible. And when he's not coding, he enjoys delving into books, immersing himself in video games, and avidly following an array of sports, including basketball, football, and F1 racing. Embracing an active lifestyle, he frequents the gym to stay fit and focused. With a diverse range of interests, and eagerness to learn, Warwick strives to make an impact in the tech industry and the lives of those around him. So yeah, hello Warwick. You can take over
Hi,
the floor.
thank you for
Hi.
that, Rain. Kita ba yung presentation ko? I think kita naman.
Yeah.
We'll be discussing about studying in Australia. So first, before we start, yun, may brief introduction naman. Bukod dun, one of the reasons why I studied in Australia rin kasi my parents wanted siguro parang better education for me. So parang this is one of the countries on top of my list. And since I was thinking of getting a Western type of education, very limited yung choices ko considering how far the other Western countries were. So parang it just came down to Australia talaga because it's really near compared to, let's say, the US or the UK or any countries in Europe, with the direct flight being around 7 hours from Manila to Melbourne. And so far it's been a great experience. I can say that it was a good decision, very worthwhile, and yung studies ko dito, and I can say that it's a good experience, and it's sort of fun. But sometimes it's not all that good. Syempre, nami-miss ko friends ko sa Philippines. And then sometimes, actually, nasabi ko to sa isa kong friend, nahahalin tulad ko yung stay ko dito, parang exile. Yung parang kay Rizal. Pero, syempre, all jokes aside, uh, studying here, parang you still miss your family and your friends. Kasi may isa kong friend na dito siya ngayon na dapat magkikita kami ng last kong pag-uwi kaso di pa rin kami nagkikita, and then yung last kita namin was 2022. So sana magpakita siya sa akin uh, pag-uwi ko. So ayun, wag ko daw siya i-shout out, pero alam mo na yan. So let's actually get started. First, overview muna tayo with the general application. So before all of this, kailangan ko talaga i-emphasize, you have to do your research talaga. Whether you're kahit sa among country you're applying to. So research is important, and I will be giving emphasis on research throughout the whole session. So let's start first. So letter offer. So when your application is successful, or kapag naka-apply ka na sa school, you will receive an offer letter from said school. And once you receive it, I want you guys to make sure that you carefully read the letter offer. Kasi it will include the details of your course, your enrollment conditions, and fees that you will pay kapag inaccept mo na yung letter offer. Okay? Make sure you also understand your student rights as well as the refund arrangements. Bakit? May mga times kasi na hindi ka matutuloy mag-aral sa Australia. Let's just say for some reason nagka-problema sa visa mo na you can't really study or let's say na-deny. So kapag na-deny or let's say kunwari may emergency tas hindi mo natapos yung studies mo, kay may mga times na i-refund yon ng school. So in that uh, letter offer, nandun yung mga arrangements and those arrangements will determine whether or not you get a partial refund or a full refund depending on, what happened to you kung ba't di mo matuloy yung pag-aaral mo sa Australia. And of course, please always keep a copy of the letter offer, whether physical or digital. Kasi you might need it in the airport especially. Baka hingin nila yun eh. Pero most of the time, visa lang yung hinihingi nila. But, better be safe than sorry. And you also need to keep it just in case you need to make a claim against the school or let's say may hindi sila nabigay sa'yo or hindi na fulfill yung isang condition. So it's always important to have a copy of it on hand. Okay? So next, confirmation of enrollment. So I guess this is very self-explanatory. This is a document that will be issued by your education provider na sinasabi na you're enrolled in this specific course. So this document will be given to you when you accepted the offer from the letter offer and you paid the initial deposit. So you need to include a copy of this in your visa application so that the Australian government has proof that you're registered in the declared course. Okay, so next, proof of English proficiency. We'll go into depth of this specifically later, but basically, it's a certificate saying that you can speak English. As you all know, most of us, in fact, I think halos everyone in the Philippines, sabihin natin 90% can speak English and it's one of our official languages. But you still need this document uh, to give to the Australian government because for some reason, our English is not accredited by the Australian government. I have no idea why. Iilan lang yung schools na accredited sa kanila. Alam ko one of those schools ay Ateneo, pati Miriam, and yung mga ibang international schools, but I'm not too familiar with the list. So when you're checking if you need a proof of English proficiency, check mo muna if yung school mo na sa ilalim ng accredited schools kasi baka hindi mo na to kailangan. Pero yung school ko, University of the Philippines Integrated School, hindi siya accredited. So I had to take the test. Okay, so we'll go into depth about the English proficiency later, but let's go through the rest first. So GTE, again, we'll go to more depth of the GTE/personal statement kasi this is, I think, personally, this is the most important thing, and this is the document that most people actually disregard and what leads them to, get what leads to their student visa rather getting rejected. So we'll discuss this in depth later. Next is the proof of sufficient funds. So to receive an Australian visa, you must prove that you have, enough money to, finance or support yourself throughout your stay. So there's two options you can do. Number one, you provide bank statements or grants or scholarships so that you have enough money to cover your costs throughout your stay in the country. Or if sabihin natin, magma-masters ka na, you can supply proofs of your partner's annual income. And then my threshold yun eh. I'm not too familiar with the threshold, but that's something you can look if you're, ewan ko, if may spouse kayo, if you try to take masters tas may spouse na kayo or something. But yeah, that's an option. Okay, next is overseas student health cover. So this is basically medical insurance. So as an international student in Australia, you must have this overseas student health cover for the duration of your stay. Bakit? If you don't provide this or if you don't buy this, automatically hindi tatanggapin yung student visa mo, okay? So what is OSHC or Overseas Student Health Cover for? So this will help you pay for your medical or hospital care while studying Australia. It will pay for most of your prescription medicines kung meron man kayo or maintenance or whatever. Or in the case of emergencies, it will cover the cost of the ambulance. And while organizing your health cover, make sure you order an OSHC card for use for your doctor appointments while you're living in Australia. And hindi ko pa to ginagawa, so make sure you do this if you guys ever study in Australia. Okay, next, health and character requirements. So let's start first with the health requirement. So the Australian government requires all international students to be in good health before entering the country. As a result, you might need to go under a health examination. Yung sa akin ginawa sa Makati. Pero I think you can do it kung ano sa school kung meron. I think pwede yun, but I'm not too sure. And then you need to provide a medical certificate confirming you meet those said health requirements. Ngayon, next, yung character requirement. That's basically saying na wala kang crime or past cases sa Philippines. Pero if meron, you have to state it talaga. So, in this document, you have to, answer questions about your character, ganun. And then, sometimes, ipapa-background check ka. But, hindi yung ginawa sa akin, yung background check. And then, nag-provide lang ako character requirement na wala akong kaso, ganun. Pero, yun. So, let's go further and delve deep into the personal statement / GTE. So sa GTE or personal statement, sobrang important to talaga guys. Promise. Parang this may be like a simple essay pero this is really really important. I cannot stress how important this is. So example, sumali ako sa mga Facebook group sa mga students na aspiring mag-aral sa Australia or pati mga Filipinos na nakatira na sa Australia. And then the thing I noticed was that most people get rejected dahil sa personal statement or sa GTE nila. Okay, so let's discuss first what the GTE requirement is. So it's basically an essay, parang 1 or 2 page essay that addresses two things. One is that you are genuinely rather coming to Australia to study and not for any other reason. Number two, that you will only be staying Australia temporarily and not overstaying your visa. Basically ensuring na hindi ka TNT or illegal immigrant. Okay? Kasi maraming cases na ganun sa ibang bansa. So, in this statement, you need to include details on that you have close or personal ties to your home, meaning the Philippines, such as close friends, family, or a job that, you have to return to, as well as the value of the course to your future career, saying that, one example, na I want to study in Australia because it will give me a competitive advantage, blah, 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 blah. Future career or academic goals, when you include these details, it helps that you're gonna, not overstay your visa and return back to the Philippines. Ngayon, what if you want to study in Australia and plan to immigrate later? Or parang gusto mo tumira sa Australia kasi gusto mo, I don't know, sawa ka na sa Philippines or you wanna have a better life for yourself, ganon. So let's say that's your plan, okay? Do not say that is your plan, okay? In your GTE, make sure talaga na you specifically state that you only want to study in Australia despite having future plans. Kasi if you have a future plan to immigrate in Australia, that's a separate concern. What you need to focus on right now is actually studying there first. So yes, please, if may trouble kayo sa personal statement, magpatulong kayo sa iba. Okay? Kasi I did this with my father and then nag-consult siya sa iba niyang mga kakilala if okay yung statement ko. So yes, please take this seriously, okay? And bukod dun, uh, you can actually ask education consultants for help regarding this because there are actually free education consultants who get paid based on commission, meaning that if nakapasok ka sa gantong school, the school will pay the education agent a fee or a percent amount of money. So yun, maghanap lang kayo ng free. I'll mention some later naman. And then, hindi ko nalagay sa slide, pero generally, hindi mataas yung grade requirement na kailangan ng student para mag-aral sa Australia. So, yeah, keep that in mind. So next, focus tayo sa, ito yung isa po kong sinasabi, yung proof of English proficiency. So as a language requirement, yung kailangan is English kasi English-speaking country ang Australia. So, ang mga English test na kailangan mo i-take, or you can choose one here. And actually, nagva-vary siya sa mga schools. But these are the most common ones. The IELTS. The IELTS stand for, hold on, International English Language Testing System. The TOEFL, the Test of English as a Foreign Language, the PTE-A, the Pearson Test of English Academic, the OET, the Occupational English Test, and the Cambridge English Advanced, or the CAE. These are the common English proficiency tests that are recognized by Australian educational institutes. But at the same time, please check if valid yung test na iti-take nyo sa school na a-applyin mo. Kasi, there might be cases where they're requesting a specific test. So before you take any, make sure tama yung iti-take nyo. So for reference, I actually took the Pearson test. Nakalimutan ko yung name. Pearson Test of English Academic. And I got an overall score of 90. That's the highest score. So how did I prepare? Number one, review center. Pero hindi ko masyado na-maximize yung review center. Uh, for it was supposed to be parang a 2-month thing, but I wasn't able to take it seriously kasi I had school during that time, tas may internship ako sa UP. So, yun, medyo mahirap i-maintain yun. Tas medyo, I wasn't really focused nun. Medyo distracted ako din ako sa iba kong hobbies. So, I didn't really take the English Review Center seriously, but it's actually a huge help because they have the one-to-one teaching, and they're really strict when it comes to teaching you on how to tackle the exam itself. But let's say ayaw niyo mag-review center or masyadong mahal. Okay, that's fine. Because what I did on my own time was actually study online resources. And since I took the PTE, one of the resources I used was YouTube, and that my go-to YouTube channel for the PTE exam was E2 PTE Academic, and sobrang useful nito guys kasi yung mga ginagawa sa exam, parang yun din yung tinuturo ng YouTube channel na 'to. And then sobrang helpful yung mga tips na binibigay niya, especially the writing part. So for the writing part kasi sa PTE exam, it's usually they'll give you a question and you have to write about it. Sa E2 PT Academic, they really teach you how to format your sentences para parang higher chances of getting a higher score, ganun. And then they tell you on what to write specifically on certain questions or how to approach this. So yeah, it's actually really helpful. Then, of course, let's say ayaw niyo mag-YouTube channel. It's okay. Kasi may mga free online resources rin on the internet. Maghanap lang kayo. Sa case ng PTE, merong website na parang Pearson Test Academic, and then they offer free resources na doon mismo. Meron silang online courses, may mga free silang practice tests, and they also have guides and tips. So yeah, those are really helpful as well. Pero if pinaka-helpful talaga, review center, kasi tutok na tutok talaga sa'yo yung nagtuturo. Sadyang hindi ko talaga na-maximize. Okay, so ang tip ko dito, pag mag-exam kayo, kahit anong English proficiency exam, is practice. Bakit? Kahit gaano kayo ka-confident mag-English, it's not like taking a high school English test or a college English test or whatever. It's totally different. So, my advice is practice makes perfect. Sa kahit anong field naman, kahit anong larangan, always practice this. Okay? And hindi naman mahirap as long as masanay ka sa test format. sa test questions, sa pacing ng test. So yeah, basta practice talaga guys, yun yung important. So next naman ang student or application timeline. So actually gagawa ako ng flowchart pero nakita ko to sa website. So ninakaw ko lang yung image, de joke lang guys. Pero ginamit ko yung image na nakapost galing sa Student in Australia's International Students Guide. Pero explain ko naman, okay? So, kitang-kita nyo dito, first step pa lang research. As in, sobrang important talaga yung research, guys. Hindi dapat, hindi nyo dapat to ibabale, wala. Kasi maraming specific details that you really need to know when you apply. And then, syempre, if you're asked about it by the immigration officer in some scenario, tapos hindi mo sagot, di ba? Parang bad impression yun sa kanila na you didn't do your research properly. Pero okay, so 2 years prior to arrival, you need to research. So of course, it's never too early to conduct the important initial research that will help you decide the right study destination, institution, and course for you. So what were the few things I considered nung nagre-research ako? Uh, Number one, school. So school, syempre, I wanted it to be a good school na pasok sa, syempre, standards rin ng parents ko. And then, gusto ko rin na parang hindi siya ganun kahaba na course. And then, okay yung schedule sa akin. And okay yung whatever the school offers, basta okay sa akin. Kailangan rin okay talaga sa'yo kasi you'll be studying there for the next 4, 5, 3 years or whatever, how long you need to study here. So, may tatlo akong schools na kinonsider dito eh. RMIT, yung school ko ngayon, University of Melbourne. And then, nakalimutan ko yung isa eh. I think it was, Victoria University. So, yung first choice ko talaga is University of Melbourne kasi that's supposedly the best school here. But the thing is, yung course ko dito sa University of Melbourne will be 5 years. So that's too long for me. Ako personally, I don't like to study anymore. I just want work. Very money-driven ako. Hindi ako ashamed dun kasi gusto ko lang kumita. Okay? Next is location. Actually, magkalapit ang Melbourne University. Magkakalapit yung tatlong schools ko. Yung pinaka-convenient lang talaga is RMIT, yung school ko ngayon. And then, and I forgot to mention, yung course ko sa RMIT is just 3 years, bachelor degree. So, very convenient siya. It's very quick. And then, yeah, and nakita ko naman yung program, very practical siya. And yun, ma-apply mo talaga lahat ng mga natutunan mo sa tinuturo ng course. So yeah, yun yung mga kinonsider ko. Next is 18 months prior. So of course, you need to check the entry requirements. You need to check the academic and English language requirements for the entry prior to applying. Okay? Excuse me. You can do this by checking the Educational Institute's website or by calling the International Student Office of the school. Okay? And you can also refer to the government site of Australia. Okay? So organize English language testing if necessary. So you need to ask the school whether you will need to, demonstrate how good you are in English, which tests they accept, what score you will need. Yung scores that you will need pala sa English test, nagva-vary yun for, sa iba't ibang schools. Yung iba higher than others, yung iba nagva-vary per course. So make sure you check talaga kung anong English test score yung kailangan. So next would be 12 to 14 months apply. So it's important to make an inquiry to your preferred educational provider and request yung forms na kailangan sa application. Okay, so generally, walang specific deadlines yung international student applications. They give like a month deadline or sabihin natin parang within 5 months, ibigay nyo to, ganun. But generally, it's best to apply as early as possible. Kasi marami kang aasikasuhin eh. You need to organize your visa, your flights, and especially your accommodation. Ngayon, you can have your forms posted to you. You can apply online through the institution's website or apply through the education agent or an education fair. So if you want an education agent. Yung nakausap namin is called, hold on, hinahanap ko lang, is called COCOS and IDP. So COCOS and IDP, they're educational institute agents rather, who get paid based on commission. So libre talaga siya. Kailangan nyo lang kausapin or kontakin. So yeah, they're really helpful. But if we have time later, may kakwento ako about sa kanila. Pero that's only if we have time. But kasi I want to discuss the technical aspects first and the other important points. So next, after applying, once you apply, sabihin natin apply ka, you need to read all of the application materials, especially carefully, and aware ka sa lahat ng kailangan, pati conditions and requirements. Okay? So let's say nagawa mo na yon, you need to submit the application. Ngayon, it can take a few weeks for the application to get approved or completed, but you can track it down sa website. And then, sorry, once you've tracked down, it will take about 4 to 6 weeks for your application bago ma-approve. Okay? So ngayon, 10 to 12 months of arrival. So let's say na-approve na application mo, you need to accept your letter offer. Okay? You need to accept it bago lumagpas yung deadline. So make sure you read it, like what I said earlier, read it carefully. And sometimes you will be offered an unconditional offer. So students with those types of offers are free to accept the offer and make their first tuition payments to the provider. Okay? But sometimes you will get a conditional offer where you will only be accepted once you meet this condition. Pero let's say you get an unconditional offer, once you pay the required fee to the school, you will get your confirmation of enrollment. So, yun. Mas madali talaga once if you get an unconditional offer. Ngayon, if you receive a conditional offer, of course, you have to meet the conditions and you need to find out on what those conditions are. And then once na, let's say, na-complete mo yung conditions na yun, kailangan mo ipakita sa school na you accepted those conditions. Okay? Next. Once once na may letter of enrollment ka na, and let's say, nakuha mo na yung confirmation of enrollment mo, ngayon, you need to apply for the student visa. Okay? So, you need to it will go through the Department of Immigration sa Australia or an Australian visa office sa Philippines. And matagal to guys it can take about 12 weeks. So kapag nakuha mo yung letter of offer mo rather, and confirmation of enrollment, you can apply na using either or of those documents. Okay? But, okay, tandaan nyo to, if you apply using your letter of offer, magagrant lang yung visa mo kapag may confirmation of enrollment ka na. Okay? Tandaan nyo yung pinaka-important sa letter offer or confirmation of enrollment, yung confirmation of enrollment. Kasi dun ka pa lang enrolled eh. Yung letter of offer pa lang yun. Hindi ka pa technically enrolled dun. Okay? So next, once na, let's say, na-apply mo yung visa mo, you need to arrange your medical insurance. So we talked about how important that is. So next, 3 to 4 months prior to arrival, you need to organize where you'll stay. So sa case ko, I'm staying with my family. So and we're close naman kami doon kasi I'm staying with my mom's brother. So hindi yun masyado hassle. Pero let's say wala ko yung family or family friend or kakilala at all. This may be difficult for some kasi mahal yung accommodation sa city area. And then, of course, when you organize your accommodation, isipin mo rin yung travel papunta sa school. So, make sure you get this down talaga, yung accommodation. Ngayon, after accommodation, next, may flight ka. Of course, you need to go to Australia to actually study. Then next, airport pickup, especially kung wala kang kakilala. Then, you're in Australia. Okay? So, generally naman, walang interview for the entire process. Kasi ako, hindi ako na-interview ng immigration ng Australia eh. If may interview man sa inyo, most likely may something sa document na sa sinabit mo na gusto nila i-clarify. Pero generally, walang interview. Okay, so dito naman tayo sa scholarships. So sa scholarships and financial aid, very dependent to sa school na a-applyan mo. Minsan sa school na a-applyan mo, may nakalagay na option sa header ng website. Nakalagay doon is scholarships. Tapos titinan mo lang. And then marami yun eh. I-check mo lang sa school website. Tapos applyan mo lang once you're there. Mag-apply ka sa scholarship sa school kapag naka-enroll ka na doon sa school mismo. Pero let's say, hahanap ka ng third-party scholarships. You can do that prior to applying for the visa. Pero let's say, naka-enroll ka na and nasa Australia ka na, you can apply for the scholarship pa rin sa school scholarship. So sa case ko sa RMIT, yung school scholarship na ino-offer nila is 20% 20% of your tuition. So malaking bagay yan, 20%. 20 or 30. Hindi ko maalala yung specifics, pero malaking bagay pa rin yun. Okay? So, yung government natin, pati ibang international orgs and local orgs, nagpo-provide ng financial aid. I-check mo lang talaga kung pasok yung course mo. And very dependent on qualifications and requirements. Feeling ko medyo common sense naman to, pero I have to stress talaga na let's say may mamiss kang requirement, sabihin natin document, minsan they don't consider you anymore kasi you missed the crucial document. So make sure kompleto talaga. And yung qualifications, honestly, I don't think they're that high to meet. So mag-apply lang kayo, malay nyo na ma-full ride pa kayo na scholarship. So just apply for scholarships, okay? Ngayon naman, may mga courses na high in demand. So, you can apply to scholarships more easily or you can get accepted more easily if yung course mo very in demand. An example would be my medical degree na in demand in Australia. I'm not too sure what it is, but I remember seeing it on the news. It's a full ride scholarship actually. And you're actually getting paid as well. So bukod sa covered yung tuition mo and school fees and school materials, babayaran ka pa para mag-aral sa course na yun. If I'm not mistaken, it's nursing or something medical related. And even international students can take advantage of that if I'm not mistaken. Then of course, merong third-party agents rin, yung educational agents that I mentioned earlier. So, may paid, may free. So, choose na lang kung ano preference nyo. Pero, syempre, try nyo yung free, di ba? Free na nga yun, di ba? So, important rin ang referrals. Minsan kasi magre-request sila ng letter. So, make sure yung magsusulat ng letter of referral nyo, yung trust nyo talaga na teacher or whatever. Basta, most likely teacher yun na yung i-request nila. So, yeah, that's for scholarships and financial aid. Next naman, expectations. Okay, so naka-move in ka na sa Australia, mag-aaral ka na. What can I expect as a student? Okay, so first and foremost, let's go with one of the gripes I have of the Philippines. It's yung traffic. Bakit traffic? Sobrang time waster talaga ang traffic. Lalo na kapag public transport ka or sabihin natin nagmamaneho ka, namamaneho ka, you're stuck in traffic in the car, nakaganon ka lang, and you're waiting for the car to move. And public transpo, even though we have public transpo, sometimes it can be really unreliable na biglaan na hindi gumana or parang, let's say you take a jeep or a bus, may traffic, di ba? So, hindi siya 100% reliable with the time. Ngayon sa Australia, may traffic naman, pero umaandar pa rin and it's reasonable. And what I like here about public transport in Australia, it's very easy to, get around. You just need, a good sense of direction. It's not that hard to traverse actually. And as long as, may Google Maps ka or Waze, hindi ka mawawala. And even though, if you ask around, makakarating ka doon, provided na may good sense of direction ka, okay? And public transport, very convenient, very reliable. And let's say nagka-problema sa public transport sa Australia. Let's say sa train. Yung magsisend sila right away na bus replacement so that, you can reach your destination or yung work mo kahit papaano, 'di ba? Kasi walang train, eh. Okay. So, bukod dun, wala ring masyadong tao sa Australia, eh, actually. Especially sa city. Marami siya, yes, pero it's not as a lot as, Metro Manila. Pero yeah, it's less crowded as well. And then next, expensive goods. Mahal ng food dito, guys. Parang yeah, it's very expensive. Food's expensive here. Although, may mga food na kapresyo lang. Like yung Subway dito, kapresyo lang sa Philippines. And for some reason, mas mura ang pizza sa Australia kaysa sa Philippines. Like yung large pizza sa Domino's dito is around 200 pesos. And I don't think you can get two large pizzas in Domino's or in Pizza Hut or Shakey's for 400 pesos. But you can do that here in Australia. And I have no idea why pizza is cheap here, honestly. So yeah, generally expensive ang food dito and other things. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind of. And since Western country ang Australia, may similarity siya sa Philippine culture given how, we were under Spanish influence, American influence. So, I guess you can say na very westernized rin ang Philippines, more specifically Metro Manila. Kasi doon ako galing, Metro Manila area. So, yung city life doon, it's actually very similar to the city life rin in Melbourne. Kasi yung school ko nasa city mismo, so I'm there most of the time. But let's say you're studying other parts of Australia, let's say sa mas rural side or mas dun ka nakatira, very laid back siya and it's something I enjoy rin kasi hindi siya maingay, very quiet and maraming trees, you can go around. So if you're like nature person, yung ibang parts ng Australia, that may be for you. Next naman, weather unpredictability. Dito lang ako nasanay magtumingin sa weather app. Kasi the weather here can range from, this isn't one day, it can range from sobrang windy to rainy to sunny to very cold. That can happen in one day. That's why sinasabi nga, I'm not sure if you guys heard this, pero yung Melbourne daw, it's 4 seasons in one day. Kasi sobrang unpredictable yung weather. So, you really need to dress appropriately and be ready for whatever type of weather that Melbourne may have. So next naman is the subtle differences in word usage. So example nito, since American English tayo, di ba? Yung sila is UK English. So example would be French fries, di ba? Tawag natin French fries or fries, di ba? In Australia, they call French fries chips. So, di ba may chips naman tayo? Pero yung chips natin is Piatos, Nova, Lay's, Cheetos, whatever, chips. Pero yung chips nila dito, when you say when we say chips, they call it crisps. So yeah, takes a while to get used to, but you'll get the hang of it. Parang it's just a language thing that you won't get used to initially. And then last point is what I like about Australia, it's very diverse in culture and background. Kasi maraming people from different countries eh. And when I'm in the city, I would describe it as like I didn't really leave Asia kasi maraming Asians eh. There's Japanese people, Koreans, Chinese, Indians, maraming Asians talaga. And yung sa city rin, maraming Asian restaurants and may Filipino restaurants rin actually. So baka di kayo ma-homesick or what. If ma-homesick man kayo, you can, eat at a Filo restaurant or, you can cook. Pero let's say, di kayo marunong magluto. Di ako marunong magluto masyado eh. And, so yeah, sometimes you want inasal, may inasal place, you can eat there, okay? So, next, cost of living. Okay, so mahal ang tirahan dito. No joke. Sobrang mahal. Kitang-kita nyo yung ginawa kong, yung breakdown sa calculator na nilagay ko, accommodation yung most expensive talaga. Okay. So, this accommodation fee is provided nakatira ka sa city. And then, yung nilagay ko dito is shared apartment na. Yun yung pinakamura shared apartment. May kasama ka sa bahay. Kasama na dito yung utilities mo, electricity, water, internet. Basta kasama dyan, na dyan lahat. Okay? So this will take the bulk of the money talaga, accommodation. Kaya malaking bagay talaga if may family friend ka or may relative ka kasi you can save a lot. And transportation, very accurate to kasi you'll be going around a lot. Pero let's say you'll go to school, yeah, this is accurate actually kasi may maximum fee that you can spend. You'll have to get a transportation card once if you're gonna study here in Australia. Sa Melbourne, yung transportation, di ko lang kung kita eh. Pero it's this one. It's a Mikey card. So it's what you just tap the card if you want to ride the train or the bus or a tram. So the Mikey card allows you to spend a most of, if I'm not mistaken, $9 Australian. Once you reach $9 Australian, hindi na yon lalagpas. The rest of your trips are quote-unquote free. Basta there's a $9 max. Then for food, this is assuming you don't go out masyado, tapos nagluluto ka. So that's your food expense for the month. Then personal expense, I don't know, whatever you want to spend it on. Actually, maliit pa to eh. Pero yeah, that's how much you're gonna spend if you live in the city. Let's say if you want to live medyo farther from the city and you wanna, parang distance yourself kasi medyo mahal yung accommodation talaga sa city eh. I'm not sure how much it would cost. So, sorry, hindi ko masyado alam yon. So, do your research na lang there. So next, after, and if you want to use the calculator yourselves pala guys, you can just go to this link. So yeah, useful to. And it's accurate rin. Nung ni-research ko talaga yung accommodation prices, parang ganito talaga yung lalabas. So next is support system. So yung iba kong nilagay dito, applicable sa school ko. Kasi that's where I'm studying eh. Pero yung ibang schools, may ganito namang equivalent. So don't worry guys. So let's say learning lab. So learning lab, this is they offer online resources depending on what you're having difficulty with. Let's say may problema ka sa course mo, you can check here talaga for help. Or let's say may kailangan ka sa writing, you can check here as well. Next naman yung Studiosity. This is parang online help siya. So let's say may paper kang kailangan isulat, you can have them check your paper if what you wrote is grammatically correct or parang did you reference it correctly, or you can ask them uh if these kunwari gumagawa ba kayong flashcards. May mga med students ako na friends gumagawa ako ng flashcards from what I know you can ask them for help with those flashcards as well. So yeah, parang yeah, online study service siya na you're talking to another person. Next rin, one-on-one, peer mentoring pala. Pag peer mentoring, I think may peer mentoring naman sa mga schools dito. It's when a fellow course mate asks you for help. Sorry, you ask a fellow course mate for help. And yeah, may ganito rin dito if you have trouble with schoolwork or whatever. And meron din one-on-one consultations. This can be with the teacher or an educational skill advisor sa school mo. So, yun. Then, meron rin silang events for international students na parang meet social gathering to meet new people. Meron rin parang cultural heritage event, chu. So, lahat ng schools naman, for the most part, may ganito. So, check nyo na lang. And lastly, personal experience. Very approachable yung mga teachers and very welcoming and very understanding talaga of a student's well-being to the point na kakamustahin ka palagi. And then they're gonna ask you for, let's say, do you need help with this subject? Or parang, is this deadline enough? So let's say your deadline's not enough, just provide a valid reason and they'll extend it for you. So very approachable talaga ang teachers dito. Next naman, safety and well-being. So safety naman, yung mga schools na chinek ko, meron silang counseling and psychological services. So kunwari na you're going through something, may mga therapy sessions sila na i-appoint mo lang online. Then yung ibang schools, they can do it face-to-face. Yung iba, online only. Yung iba, choice mo kung online or face-to-face. Next, let's say, may parang religious problems ka or parang, you want someone to be able to talk to na same religion mo, may mga on-call chaplains and may mga prayer rooms doon, especially if like, let's say if practicer, if Muslim ka and you need to pray at a certain time, may mga dedicated prayer rooms. So, yung mga chaplains, they provide support to students and staff of all faiths and, provides guidance to those who identify as secular. And let's say may mangyari man sa'yo sa school, mari nahulog ka or something, or nadapa ka, tapos may malaking ang sugat, may mga health clinic and on-campus doctors naman sa school. Then, pinipreach talaga ng school na always value your mental health talaga, na if you feel drained and or parang emotionally worn out, valid reason talaga yun na hindi pumasok, or parang valid reason yun para humingi ng extension. And then physical health, important rin. Let's say may ubo ka or sipon, hindi ka talaga papapasukin. Parang, you can go to school, yes, pero you're highly discouraged by the teachers to go to school. Kasi COVID rin eh. I forgot to mention dito sa expectations. Wala nang nagmamask dito. Yung mga nagmamask lang dito, let's say may cough or colds ka or may allergies ka or, yung mga elderly. Ganun lang yung mga nagmamask dito. Okay. Next, inclusivity. So, very welcoming ang mga people dito. Very concerned sila whether or not, you know, you're going through something. They'll always make sure talaga that you feel welcomed and, not and included in whatever the school's doing. And then meron rin yung school ko, RMIT, meron silang IDA framework, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Access Framework, that they incorporate whether in teaching or kung may event sila or when designing something building related, they make sure everyone feels included and parang they make sure everyone can access it or access a certain area sa building. So very, how do I say, handicap friendly rin yung mga schools, or at least sa school ko. But I'm not sure sa iba kasi I haven't, seen the buildings of the other schools, so I'm not sure, yes, if they have the same parang framework in mind or what. So, nabanggit ko rin kanina, diverse ang Australia, so multicultural siya. So, yeah, you feel parang talaga at welcome. May international community talaga ang Australia. So that's really helpful in, having a sense of feeling welcomed and all. So takeaways, guys. So number 1, research. Research, research, research. Number 2, prioritize your GTE statement and make sure you write it properly. Number 3, always do your best sa kahit anong gagawin mo, kahit sa pag-apply sa school. Kasi minsan baka may papasulat sa'yo na essay ng school or interview. I don't know eh, wala kasi sa case ko. Pero always do your best and make sure wag kayo mag-cram sa deadline ng application. Okay? Kahit gaano man kayo magaling mag-cram sa assignments, wag kayo magka-cram dito. Okay? And of course, don't, pull yourself down or parang don't be sad if ma-disappoint ka kasi, baka ewan ko if religious kayo or what, or believer kayo ng faith, basta maybe it wasn't meant for you. Maybe parang may something else planned sa'yo. So always keep an open mind talaga. And next, may mga other schools rin sa ibang countries na, you should take a look at as well, na baka dead set kayo sa Australia, but, it's important also to consider other options. And yeah, that's the end of my talk. I hope na medyo na-explain ko sa inyo, and kasi medyo bitin rin yung 1 hour kasi I had to really condense everything. So yeah, that's all. Thank you guys for listening, and if may questions kayo, yun. That's it. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for that informative talk, Warwick. So I don't think we have time for Q&A now, but can you maybe share like any contact information if you're comfortable with attendees reaching out to you for any questions about studying in Australia?
Okay, hindi ako active sa social media eh. So what I'll do, I will just put my email address. I'll put it sa everyone. Email address. gmail.com. So that's my email address. If you want to talk to me, you can send me also a message sa Messenger. So that's my Messenger, just my name. So just send me a message there. I'll reply to you guys. Okay, don't worry. Di ako nangangagat. Mabait ako.
Okay,
Okay.
so thank you so much po. The email address and messenger account was sent sa chat box, so you guys can
Yes.
take note of
And
that para you can ask.
okay guys, sorry may mga questions ako nakita sa Q&A. I'll try to answer some pero I have to leave soon kasi may exam ako. So if hindi ko nasagot question nyo, email nyo lang ako or message nyo lang ako. Okay, that's it. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much po. So, on behalf of Camp 2023's facilitation team, I would like to extend our sincerest gratitude and appreciation for you for sharing with us your valuable insights today. We're so grateful for you accepting our speaker invitation. So everyone, let's give a virtual round of applause for Warrick. Thank you so much po.
Thank you guys. Thank you camp team for having me and good luck sa next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.